Oh boy, I'm so excited because I have been listening to this for a long time.
On this hunt, I'm in the mountains of central Idaho for a high country October mule deer hunt. My tag is an either sex tag, meaning that I'm allowed to harvest a male or female deer, which is great because my freezer is in a meat crisis. I'm looking for a buck on this hunt, but if a good opportunity at a doe happens, I'm gonna capitalize on it. All right, so we drove in last night to our spot here and parked at the trailhead, and we slept at the truck. This morning we're headed in. I was contemplating heading in a couple hours before light or at light. I decided for at light. The reason being mainly was that I've never been in this country, so I didn't really kind of wanted to hunt it on the way in. Just go in real slow and glass and see what's in here. But got about a 3-mile hike on the trail, and then we're going to take off on a ridge. We got another couple miles on the ridge. Gets us up into some real high alpine basins. And being this is mid-October, hopefully we'll be getting some bigger bucks up at that subalpine level, and get some in some of these basins that are just kind of hanging out. And then it's all these basins, they have real good timber in them, and they have some high altitude lakes. There's water, good bedding, good feeding up there. So being it's October, most of the bigger bucks should be split off from the rest of the deer, just kind of more into a solitary pattern, getting ready for the rut here in a 3 weeks to kick off. So bulking up. So yeah, we're gonna get up here and see if we can't find some of these deer that are just hanging out in these high alpine basins. Yeah, off for a little hike and explore some country.
All right, well, day one was pretty eventful. Unfortunately, I didn't really get any of it on video, but so I'll just give you the quick rundown. We hiked in this morning from the truck, and we started making our way in probably about 7 o'clock. It was getting about light. I was gonna hike in the dark, but I decided that not being in this country before, I wanted to hunt as I came in, and I wanted to be able to see the country I was passing through. So opted to come in right at shooting light and just took it slow coming in. Did a lot of glassing. Seen one other hunter on my way in. There was only, when I got to the trailhead last night, there was only there were 0 vehicles at the trailhead. And then this morning about 4, a guy on a 4-wheeler showed up right before I started my hike in. Another group of 3 showed up. And for this being opening day and opening weekend, you know, it's pretty slim pickings. I definitely expected a lot more hunters up here. So we started hiking in. We met one other hunter on the trail, and we sat and chatted with him for a little bit. And he said he hadn't seen anything in here. And so after chatting with him, we continued on and we came up the ridge that we wanted to from the trail. I had a ridge that came up in between two basically pretty big head basins. Unbeknownst to me from e-scouting, I didn't realize that there's also a kind of a smaller third basin in here in between the two big ones. But so I came up the ridge and we stopped, take a break, and we were glassing. And I'd been watching some does that I had seen, and they were probably about 400 or 500 yards away. And there was 7 of them. They're all pretty decent size, and it was good to see deer. I was sitting there watching them, and probably sat on this glassing spot that I was at for probably 3 or 4 hours watching these deer. And just so happens that they kept coming my way, kept feeding my way, kept feeding my way. Well, it was a good location where they were at for packing. There's water right close. This area is just amazing. Honestly, it's probably one of the coolest spots I've ever killed an animal in. I can't remember one that I enjoyed more. It's nice, and for being up in the mountains, it's really flat up here. And yeah, it was a great setup, and they just kept feeding and kept feeding and kept feeding. And next thing I know, I had been ranging around, and I was like, well, if they get to 200, that's my zero. So if they get to 200 yards, I'll shoot one. And probably about 20 minutes later, they closed it to 200. And one was standing at 200, just giving me a really nice broadside shot. She was the second biggest doe in the group. Yeah, it was a beautiful broadside shot, 200 yards. There was no wind in here, and just an awesome place. And so we went ahead, pulled the trigger, and harvested that deer. I didn't even think to get it on camera or try to get it on camera. I totally could have, but at that point, I didn't even think about it. And then afterwards, well, it was too late. So didn't get it on camera, unfortunately. But we got down here to it. She only went about 65 yards, I think is what I ranged that at. She went 65 yards after the shot, and then done deal. So we got her broke up, and it was an absolutely gorgeous day. Temps probably 60s, 70s up here, and there's some clouds and some sun. When the sun would come out, man, it just get really hot. But we kept getting a lot of clouds, so that was great to care. We got it broke down. It took us probably about 4 hours to get it all broke down. Completely skinned out. So we deboned all of it and got it in game bags, and now it's stashed just over here away from camp. I was going to hike it out today, or at least a load out to the trucks, because I'm only like 5 miles from the trucks. So honestly, it's super easy hike in here. So I was going to hike a load out today, but the storms came in on us, and I think it's supposed to stay stormy, so we got the meat stashed over here under some trees. It's all in game bags and stuff, and then I put it in just contractor bags to keep the rain and stuff off of it. And so we've got that stashed so it's dry, and then there's a great campsite that we found, and it's, I don't know, probably 100 yards from the kill site, but honestly, I'd be interested to see if anything gets on the kill site tonight. Really, the main predators in this area are just wolves. You'll get the opportunistic black bear and then mountain lions. That's about your big predators. So, be interesting to see if it brings any in. I do have a bear tag, so I'm not going to be hunting right in that specific area, but, if opportunity arises, we'll take that. We'll probably take it. But since I do have a bear tag, and we're already in here, this is opening day, day 1, and I shot the my deer at like 2 o'clock. I'm just not ready to give up hunting yet. So we do have a bear tag, and we're gonna stick it out for the after 2 days that we plan to hunt. Stay up here, keep glassing. There's a lot of bears in this country, so maybe we can hang our tag on one of them and come out of here with a bear and a deer. That would be awesome. Yeah, we just got the camp set up. Had a bag out of or a dinner out of a bag now, and got a little fire started. I'm gonna hang out a little bit. I have some back strap I'm gonna cook up from the meal or from the deer, and yeah, just hang out, relax, and hit it again bright and early in the morning. And
All right, we'll see how good I am at getting this stick over. I'm not sure yet. So what we're doing is I'm going to hang the meat in the air. Not so much for the threat of, oh, that was terrible, bears, but really more so just with the rain and stuff from last night. I do want to get it hung up and just get it airing out. Meat sitting in water is definitely your enemy when it comes to meat care. So if we get these game bags up, we're not going to be going out until tomorrow. So, there we go. I think that'll do us. Here, come on, get out of there. All down. Perfect. Well, only 2 attempts. I'm kind of proud of myself there. Now I'll just try to get this to work back up the slim a little bit. And we'll call that good. So as you can see, we put our meat up in a tree. I don't typically hang it when I'm out here. Usually we're packing it out in short enough order that it's really not an issue. The reason I hung it this time is it got wet yesterday, and water's not your friend for meat care. So I wanted to get it up hung and get the air circulating around it and help dry things back out, with the rain last night. So we're going to hang it for today, and then we'll pack it all out tomorrow. So the recommendation, that's not completely bear proof, because the recommendation on hanging your meat for bears is 10 feet and then high 6 feet away from the tree. That way, that if they do climb the tree, they can't just pull it in. obviously, if they climb this tree, they're going to get to that meat. But my camp is just right over your shoulder, like 10 yards. So I'm also going to hear it in the middle of the night, and I can run them off. Bears aren't a worry to me, honestly. Most of the predators out here aren't. I've never had issues with them. If this was grizzly country, it'd be a completely different story, but this is not grizzly country. So all we have to worry about here is black bears and wolves. Wolves won't come into the camp. They're pretty gun shy humans for sure. And black bears, they're opportunistic. They're more of 99% of the time I view them more as a pest than an actual threat. That's not to say they can't turn into a threat, but most of the time they're not. They're just a nuisance, and you can run them off easy. It's not a problem. And then I also have Odin with me, so that's another little bit of deterrent for a bear. He's going to hear stuff long before I do, which is honestly really nice, because he'll wake me up if something gets over here or even gets close to it. And then if I didn't have him, I might set up like an alarm system on it or something if I was that worried about bears. But like I said, this really is not for bears. This is just to get the meat up and airing out. So that way the water that we've gotten doesn't hurt it at all. So yep. So there you go, hung in the tree, and off we go. All right. Well, it's evening day 2, and I finally ran out of water. But the really cool thing about this spot is I have water super close. So we're gonna go down here, get some water. And second round of storms finally showed up. So get a little sleet right now. Corn snow, if you will. Put a rifle on. I hate to get down there and see a nice bruin on the hill and not be able to do nothing about it. So, all right, I'll turn you around here. Get the water bottles going. Come on, Odin. That gave us a nice little game trail down through here. But super flat walking, that's the nice thing here. This upper basin, they don't always get really nice and flat like this. A lot of times they just get really super steep and real rocky, steep drainages. I hate getting into them, honestly. That's why I always stay on the ridges. This is heaven down in here. Yes, sir. The elk think so too. You can look at all the brush through here, and they've just been mowing it down, the tops of it and stuff. All kinds of elk sign in here. Yeah, it's a pretty awesome little spot. All right, hopefully you don't fall off there. Ooh, nice little spot here. Clean, super clean water. Oop, that's not so clean. Let's up the algae up. Oop. Clean and cold, this thing is. So where those elk went to is where this comes from. So we're super close to the source. I can see the source. So as far as like contaminants go, you're not going to have many up here. There's very little possibility of like there being a dead animal up there real close that you don't know about. Some of those horror stories that people talk about when they were drinking, probably where they shouldn't have been to begin with. So I do this all the time, and I don't recommend anybody else do it, but it works for me, and that's what counts in my book. All right. Yep, like I said, people have different comfort levels with things, and this is my comfort level with water. I don't recommend anybody else do it. It's just me doing this. Yep. I think Odin went back to camp. He had enough of that. So yeah, we got the weather setting in. We got a nice fire started. We got a couple liters of water. Do any cooking or coffee making that we need. And yeah, I'll ride this storm out this evening. Maybe wake up in the morning to a winter wonderland, which would be really nice, because then we can really see the going-ons in here. We'll see what tracks are going on, and it'll be a lot easier to glass animals into. So, alrighty. All right. Well, day number 2 coming to a close. So we got a little snow up here this evening, and then this morning we had that group of about 20 elk go past us, and there was a really nice 6x6 in that group, and there was a spike bull in that group. And so this evening we've been listening to them just this whole evening. There's this upper basin that they went up into, and there's actually been about 3 or 4 bulls bugling up through there, and about 3 of them sound like they're pretty decent bulls. There's one that's just definitely that old growl, and they've been moving down this drain here that we're in, or this basin. And it's been pretty cool. I think they're probably within 400 yards of camp right now. Been talking back and forth, a bunch of bugling. You can hear the cows talking. So that's been pretty awesome. Morning, day 3. And yeah, it was pretty chilly last night. Definitely got below freezing. Dog water this morning had a little bit of ice on it. But I'll show you what it looks like out. So definitely snowed last night a little bit. We're just kind of sitting in shelter this morning, and then we're going to get packed up and get headed out. We got 5.3 miles to the truck, so we'll do a gear trip, take it to the truck, stash it at the truck, and then we'll make our way back in, grab our meat, and then head back out. So all total 4 trips. So we'll be right at a 20-mile day, but it's pretty easy hiking. It's all downhill or on a trail, so yeah, not too bad at all, honestly. Sounds like a lot of miles, but it sounds way worse than what it really is. So, but yeah, that's the morning today, and that's the plan for the day. Super cool opportunity here. So we're hiking into our meet, and I just go through this creek drainage. And then I'm coming back and up the other side, and I'm starting to sweat, so I stopped for a second. Figured I'd slurp on some coffee and just stand here. And I'm standing here looking at the trees, and I see this dark object, and I'm like, is that a bear? Because I do have a bear tag. Not a bear. To show you. So if we go right there, that dark spot right there is cow moose. So these are Shiras moose that we have in the lower 48. They're a lot smaller than Alaskan moose. Like an Alaskan moose is probably 2-3 times its size. On our average Shirases, these are a little bit bigger than an elk, really. They are bigger than elk, but not much. Body, like pounds wise. They have a lot taller legs, so they stand a
heck of a lot taller than an elk. But sitting in here listening, there's this cow right here that we just showed you, and then I can hear a bull over here talking, putting some calls out. So yeah, I thought I'd share it with you. It's a super cool opportunity here in Idaho. I always love it to be able to see moose. So yep. All right, well, we're all packed up. We got the meat out of the tree, as we can see, and now it's all loaded up in the pack. And usually when I pack, I got trekking poles, so it definitely helps with the weight and the terrain and stuff, and taking some of the shocking off the knees. But so it's about 3 o'clock. We already made one trip to the truck and dropped the gear off, and now we're gonna make our final trip back with the pack, and we will see you at the truck. All right, so pack out is done. The truck's just about 300 yards up here, and then we'll get loaded up, head back home. So what a rewarding trip. What an excellent trip. You know, we got to see moose, elk, deer, put some meat in the freezer. Just an epic 3 days. Couldn't ask for better out here. So I'm not sure how much this pack weighs. It's the whole deer, but I'll weigh it when we get back home. And, I'll put some stats in at the end of the video. So, hey, thanks for joining me on the hunt, and I'll see you on the next one.
On this trip, I didn't harvest a giant racked animal or even get the shot on film. But that isn't what a trophy is to me. A trophy to me is in the miles hiked, the pounds packed, the experience of a wild place, the animals watched, the lessons learned, the stories told, sharing with others both stories and meals, whether sitting around a fire, at a dinner table, or even making a video for YouTube. It's a story as old as mankind. These are my memories and experiences, and I will cherish them forever. I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. I am a hunter. Thank you for watching, and I hope you come along on my next adventure.